Chicago, the Field Museum. Here, suspended in time, hangs Sobek, a massive monument to one of geology's greatest enigmas. For decades, we only knew him by his bones. But what happens when science breathes life back into the ghost? Welcome to the Cretaceous, a world lost to deep time, where the boundaries between land and water blur, and a new king claims the coast. Witness the true monarch of the Cretaceous river systems, not a mere land dweller, but a highly specialized, piscivorous titan, perfectly adapted to the water's edge. Resting on the ancient shoreline, its massive silhouette breaks the horizon. Even in repose, this animal was an evolutionary statement, shattering everything we thought we knew about dinosaurian biology. As he rises, notice the unique biomechanics, a low center of mass shifting forward, driving him toward the element he was engineered to conquer. This is apex engineering in motion. Watch the power of the dense, ballast-like bones, the effortless aquatic locomotion. This wasn't just a predator wading through the shallows. This was a terrifying rule breaker operating at peak performance. To understand the monster, we must trace the lineage. Rooted deep within the Theropoda, the Spinosauridae branched off on a radical evolutionary gamble. A lineage born in the shadows of the Mesozoic, silently adapting to dominate an ecological niche no other dinosaur dared to touch. 95 million years ago, the late Cretaceous, ground zero for this titan was northern Africa, specifically the lethal ecosystems of the Kem beds. From the rugged Kem in modern Morocco to the Bahariya Oasis in Egypt, this ancient coastline was a crucible of giant predators. Today, the barren Sahara holds the clues, a scattered puzzle across Morocco, Egypt, and Algeria, waiting for modern paleontology to piece it together. But science is a process of trial and error. In 1972, John Ostrom's classic reconstructions envisioned Spinosaurus as a sluggish quadrupedal lizard. Other vintage theories forced him into the classic bipedal mold, a generic giant carnivore with a rounded sail, lumbering through the swamp. They were wrong. He wasn't slow. He wasn't generic. He was a dynamic, terrifying reality that shattered every rule in the textbook. Every great discovery begins with a doubt. Behind closed doors, anatomical revisions forced researchers to question everything they knew about theropod design. The old model collapsed, misjudged posture, and over-reliance on terrestrial traits, errors in anatomy that kept the truth hidden for over a century. Enter the modern consensus. By mapping the exact density of the skeletal structure, science revealed a completely reimagined predator built for the water. And technology cracked the case. High-resolution 3D laser scanning turned fragmented neural spines into flawless digital data. Then came the physical proof. Exquisite integumentary impressions, fossilized skin and scales, offering a direct touchpoint to a living, breathing dinosaur. But the ultimate smoking gun? Coprolites, fossilized waste, packed with ancient fish scales and spines, concrete proof of what was on this titan's menu. Anatomical efficiency defines the skull, highlighting the antorbital, orbital, and mandibular fenestrae, reveals an architecture optimized to reduce weight without sacrificing strength. The sail was a biomechanical engine, a complex network of digital ligaments and tendons distributed immense physical loads across the elongated neural spines. Under the microscope, the truth hardens. Unlike hollow-boned land hunters, Spinosaurus possessed dense, trabecular bone structure, ballast for a semi-aquatic life. The pelvic girdle tells the final evolutionary story, a heavily reduced ilium, ischium, and pubis, proving a dramatic shift away from traditional theropod locomotion. Reconstructed via phylogenetic bracketing, the integument emerges, dense, crocodilian-like scales, engineered to withstand a lifetime submerged in harsh, ancient river systems. Deep within the fossilized scales, technology detects cellular ghosts, Eumelanosomes, melanin-packed organelles proving this phantom of the bayous wore a dark, lethal camouflage. The snout was a living sonar, A glowing trigeminal nerve network mapped hundreds of pressure receptors, engineered to lock onto the faintest ripples of fleeing prey. Look closer at the dental architecture. Heterodont dentition, teeth of varying sizes, interlocking like a biological trap, designed not to shear flesh, but to impale slippery, heavy fish. The skin folds around the jaw allowed for extreme expansion, a lethal mechanism optimized for the river monsters of the Cretaceous. Biomechanical tension shifts here. The skeletal structure and front-heavy muscle mass pull the center of gravity forward, demanding a specialized locomotion. Power was anchored in the chest. Massive scapula and coracoid bones fuse into a robust shoulder girdle, building forelimbs with devastating pulling power. This is the complete modern Titan. Striking a low, calculated gait, the elongated tail balances the front-heavy torso. It is a radical departure from the classic T-Rex silhouette. Every scale, every contour of this animal points to a highly specialized lifestyle, tailored for an environment where water and land collided. Inside the cranium lies the control center. Digital endocasts reveal a highly developed brain, with enlarged olfactory bulbs for tracking aquatic scents and an advanced vestibular system tuned for underwater orientation. Visual optics were equally precise. This projected cone models a specialized binocular field of view, allowing the predator to accurately calculate refraction through the water's surface. Deep within the ear, the anatomy whispers. An elongated lagina, a specialized adaptation for detecting low-frequency acoustic vibrations traveling through the deep water. The jaws were engineered for endurance. Neon force vectors map how stress distributed while holding struggling prey. Powered by polyphyodontism, a conveyor belt of constantly replacing teeth. Watch him move through the ancient mangroves. Striking with terrifying speed, he secures a massive Onchopristis. This wasn't just a terrestrial hunter stepping into the water. It was a dedicated river lord. His internal engine was unique. Heat mapping reveals an active mesothermic transition, a metabolic sweet spot between warm and cold blood, optimized for a semi-aquatic predator. This strategic thermoregulation allowed Spinosaurus to outpace cold-blooded crocodilians, while conserving vital energy that pure, terrestrial endotherms would waste. The bone histology locks in the timeline, analyzing lines of arrested growth and dense osteon structures. Science confirms this specific individual survived the Cretaceous crucibles for 28 years. Survival meant protecting the lineage. Guarding a clutch of large speckled eggs within a primitive nest, the giant reveals a calculated, protective parental instinct. The journey began small. A hatchling steps into the mud, carrying the genetic blueprints of a titan, a tiny shadow in a world governed by monsters. As adults, their sails became billboards of power. Flushing with blood to display vibrant crimson hues, these titans engage in a silent, high-stakes territorial ritual. But conflict was inevitable. When the River King met the land tyrant, Carnotaurus, over the remains of a giant Sarcosuchus, the balance of power hung by a thread. Yet, no predator could defeat geology. Between 193 million years ago, recession trends dried the massive mangrove deltas, shrinking the paradise of the sail-backed king. He was the apex of his world. But the Cretaceous trophic pyramid reveals a dangerous flaw, a master predator, entirely dependent on a fragile aquatic ecosystem. When the climate shifted, the water vanished. Rivers shrank into stagnant pools. Mangroves died. The desert began its relentless, ancient march. Specialization became a death sentence. The River Lord, stranded in a dying world, watched his empire burn as the water ran completely dry. All that remained was dust, a single, cracked tooth buried in sandstone, a silent testament to a titan swallowed by deep time. Yet, his blueprint echoes through the Archosaur lineage, a radical theropod branch that redefined the boundaries of dinosaur evolution. A masterpiece of convergent design. Millions of years later, modern gharials utilize the exact same sensory receptors to dominate the water. And his paddle-like tail shares its hydrodynamic bones with a tiny modern amphibian, the crested newt, proof that nature recycles perfect physics. This is Spinosaurus, an evolutionary rebel, a ghost from the chem beds, forever suspended between land, water, and our imagination. Next time, we journey to the shadows of Patagonia, to face a swift, horned demon of the south. Prepare for the horned bull, Carnotaurus.